Welcome back to the first Berserker Khazan. I've been sick lately, like really sick. The reason why I'm telling you is because if you hear me sneeze, cough or die throughout this video, well, at least you will know what's up. The reason why I am making this video despite not feeling the greatest is because I have some newly found respect for anybody who uses the GreatSword in this game, because you guys are built different. You guys deserve a lot of compliments because it is not easy. It's like you are playing a different game, a harder game. And with that said, I thought about ways to make your experience easier and less miserable, because let's be honest, using a GreatSword in this game is like a death sentence sometimes, especially depending on the boss you are going up against. You know what? This game is weird. How can you call yourself the first Berserker Khazan, have a GreatSword, and not have a single armor set called the Berserker armor set? Come on. I mean, let's be honest, this armor set, the Soul Eater armor set, looks pretty close to what the Berserker armor set looks like, minus some little, details, but I try to be as faithful as possible when it comes to the GreatSword. I think it looks like the Demon Slayer. But when it comes to the armor set, I would love to see a proper Berserker armor in the future. But this will have to do for the time being. Before we begin, I do want to say that this video is going to be shorter than the one we made about the spear. The reason why is because I'm going to assume most people by now know already what's the difference between New Game Plus and New Game Plus 2, and how to maximize crafting items and how to make the most out of those attributes on said items. If you are still struggling, I'm going to link the video and you can check it out, but for the time being, I'm going to dive right into the build. The key ingredient for the first build is going to be the Sentinel's GreatSword, especially when it comes to that fixed attribute, learning Mortal Blow Murderous. What is Mortal Blow Murderous? It is an enhanced version of Mortal Blow, which allows you to instantly charge your potent blow after a regular Mortal Blow. Now this one has crazy stun potential, and with the right build, with the right attributes, you can get some pretty insane damage. And again, because you are stun locking the enemy, they can't get anywhere, and slow consumption when it comes to stamina, so you can use multiple Mortal Blows in a row without having to worry about your spirit getting consumed. And speaking of consuming your spirit, I think the two best skills to unlock for the GreatSword is Night Veil, which allows you to create shockwaves whenever you are charging, which can also deal damage and stun lock the enemies, and anything you can do to pin an enemy down, increasing your chance to restrict their movement and especially deal massive damage, you should do. Night Veil is amazing and you should always activate it whenever you can. The second skill you absolutely need to activate is Inner Fury. It allows you to charge your attacks faster. Anything that can be charged is going to be charged faster, and this is something you absolutely need to activate whenever you can. Another skill you could unlock, which is just as good, is Warcry, which allows you to basically increase your points and take reduced damage, which is great if you are struggling against a specific enemy. And I tend to always recommend having 3 skills enabled at a time, because it's going to lessen the chances of you getting confused whenever you need to activate those inputs. But if you want to add a very useful tool to your skills, I'm going to suggest Counter-Strike. The reason why is because this skill can be used to cancel pretty much anything you do, including other spirit attacks. The reason why I would recommend this is because of the nature of the GreatSword, which is basically you having to sit there and charge your attacks for maximum damage, and being able to have a skill which allows you to just cancel anything you're doing just to be able to block a coming hit, especially depending on the hit, because if you have the poise, sometimes it's okay to trade. But sometimes you can realize that, wait, I'm going to die if I take this hit, so maybe I should not take this hit. Counter-Strike allows you to get out of very sketchy situations, so I could recommend using this, having it somewhere, just in case you feel threatened. But again, the more skills you have, the more confused you can get. So use those wisely. I have some good news for you. You don't need to go for the legendary version of the Sentinel's GreatSword. The reason why is because even the epic version gives you Murderous, which is awesome. Now, with the GreatSword equipped, it's only a matter of trying to find the best possible items to maximize your charge attack damage. The jar is very essential for this build because you don't ever have to wear two pieces of the same set. So having the jar is very important. When it comes to my chest armor, I'm wearing the Mage's Robe, which gives me 10% more damage whenever I'm charging an attack. I didn't get that lucky when it comes to the overall attributes for this build, and I kind of hate that no matter what you do, even if you equip the same set as I did, you're never going to have the same attributes. I really wish this game would allow us to just pick what we want instead of having to gamble. I hate gambling in general, especially in games. Anyway, when it comes to my gauntlets, I'm wearing the Virus Priest Guard. The reason why is because it's going to give us 10% more damage whenever we are in a 1v1 situation. When it comes to my leggings, I am wearing the Great General's leggings. The reason why is because 9 times out of 10, we're going to be standing in front of the enemy, which is why having frontal assault is great. When it comes to my shoes, my boots, I am wearing the Executioner's combat boots, which gives us 15% more stamina damage, which is great because it means we can force the enemy to get into an exhaustion state more often. When it comes to my necklace, I am wearing the necklace of the Singing Harp, which is again one if not the best necklace in the game. The reason why is because whenever you have 50% or more stamina, you deal 15% more damage. This is huge. When it comes to your ring, I would suggest the Pilgrim's Ring. The reason why is because Murderous is a poison blow, and this ring allows us to get 10% more damage on every single potent blow, which is awesome. Now, I'm level 333. You don't have to be that high to use this build, and you do not need to have legendary items to use this build. All you need to do is get your hands on the Sentinel's GreatSword, and specifically the epic version that gives you access to Murderers. Now, how do you make the most of this build? Having a GreatSword requires you to have a different mindset, a different approach. You want to be able to identify the windows in which you can heavily punish the enemies you are facing. What you want to do at any given time is to activate Night Veil and then Inner Fury. The reason why is because whenever you are presented with those windows where you can punish those enemies, you have a very short time to deal some massive damage before they break out of the stun lock. So you want to make sure that you already have activated those two skills before you start to punish them. Also, because you are not using any spirit thanks to Murderers being spirit free, you can be pretty lenient when it comes to how you want to spend your spirit, which is why, again, there is no harm into using Inner Fury or Night Veil before you even get the chance to punish the bosses. Now, do you remember what I said at the beginning of this video? This weapon can be great, even the best in the game depending on who you're facing. For me personally, I think the mages, the women mages in this game, are going to be a pain in the ass whenever you are using a GreatSword. Because of the nature of their abilities, they may be able to break out of your stun lock and teleport halfway across the screen. That sucks because you just wasted the window to punish them, and they're going to be able to maybe recover their stamina and be able to punish you. I really hate the mages in this game, and I hate that even more whenever I have to go against them using a GreatSword. But no matter who you're facing, what you need to do and keep in mind is that burst attacks are your friends. If you can successfully land a burst counter, you leave the opponent open for some massive damage, which is why I would advise that if you feel like a burst attack is coming, what you want to do is prepare by first using Night Veil and Inner Fury preemptively, and then you punish them. When it comes to dealing some massive damage really fast, I believe this is the best build. As long as you're not facing Trucker, Beleriand, Raze, or the Princess, those three are cancerous. But whenever you are facing Coffin Guy, Ozma, anybody else, this build is absolutely wonderful, and you're going to see that health bar just disappear within seconds. Personally, I always disable the Helm Break skill because this can hinder my ability to chase after a boss and initiate my very first mortar blow. The reason why I would suggest disabling that is because sometimes you just can't afford to miss the window to punish the bosses. So what I would do instead is just dash and then hold my swift attack button. This is how it looks like. Boom. So first we dash, swift attack, hold swift attack, boom, potent blow, murderous blow. This is the best way for me to make sure that whenever I catch up to an enemy, I can maximize on my murderous blow. Now let's talk about the other build. Something I found is also pretty interesting. You want to equip the full fugitive armor set, all 8 pieces. Trust me, it is good. At level 8, you get to learn Heartpiercer Fury. But first, I'm going to go over my items, that way you can see what attributes I went for. I wasn't very lucky when it comes to those piece of gear, but maybe your luck may be different, maybe better. I hate the gambling, the whole gambling, and I'm going to tell you, you want to target stamina damage because there's going to be a lot of berries, there's going to be a lot of counters, and you want to be able to break your opponent's guard as fast as possible. Now let's see what Heartpiercer is all about. Whenever you perform a parry and then perform a swift attack right after the parry, you can perform Armor Breaker. Following Armor Breaker by another potent blow is going to trigger Heartpiercer. But now Heartpiercer Fury allows you to take damage and nullify that damage whenever you are performing the potent blow following Armor Breaker, which is huge because this skill allows you to nullify anything including burst attacks. You are safe as long as you can, tank the attack and not land the potent blow before the enemy's attack hits you. This applies to every single attack excluding grabs. If you get grabbed, well, this doesn't work. You're going to get grabbed and probably die, but as long as the attack is anything but a grab, you'll be able to nullify that attack using Heartpiercer Fury. Also, both the epic and the legendary versions of the GreatSword part of this set allow you to learn Scorching Earth, which is a mighty powerful skill. The only downside with this skill is the fact that it requires 5 Fury or 5 Spirit to be able to be triggered. I think that's a lot. I think unless you are absolutely sure that you are going to deal some massive damage and potentially kill the opponent, you may not want to use this skill because 5 Fury is basically 2 Night Veils and 1 Inner Fury. So I don't think this is quite as good as having Night Veil and Inner Fury. So I would try to stay away from Scorching Earth unless you really want to land that attack. And I'll say it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I've had a lot of fun using this skill. The reason why is because it makes you almost impossible to kill. You need to pay attention to what strings the enemy is going for. Sometimes it may not be enough to stop them whenever they are performing a combo. So you want to be able to identify the right strings you can punish, because you can hold the Heartpiercer for a very long time, up to 5 to 6 seconds. So for 6 seconds, provided you're not being hit by a grab, you are basically immortal. This is absolutely crazy. I love this skill. In the right hands, it makes you almost impossible to touch. I love this. This is very different from the previous build because this is more of a defensive build as opposed to an offensive one. Yes, you can open up the enemy, especially if they have no poise, you can destroy them, but this is going to ensure that whenever you land that first parry and have that swift attack follow-up, also by a potent blow, you are untouchable. And I love that. It's a very different skill, and I love this approach. Here's the thing about countering everything using Hurt Piercer. Whenever you counter a burst attack, you don't get your spirit back and you don't also get your stamina. So I would use this skill cautiously. It is a free get out of jail card, but you should still use it wisely because in some scenarios it's just better to land the burst counter than to use Hurt Piercer to counter said burst attack. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but I think those two builds are absolutely awesome. Now what you need to do is to go in the lab and make sure that you experiment with those two builds, because one is overly oppressive and the other one is heavily defensive. You want to know which one works best against which enemy so that you can maximize their potential. One more thing, if you want to take your GreatSword gameplay to the next level, you absolutely need to get your hands on the shooting star, especially the legendary version of this weapon, because it gives you the ability to learn limit break apex without having to equip the full armor set, giving you more freedom when it comes to what build you want to use to make this skill even more efficient. Now, I don't think this is a build you want to use. I don't think this is a weapon you want to use. I can't lie to you, the full dopamine release through every single hole in my body when I land this attack is unmatched. And I think this is a Giga Chad weapon, a Giga Chad skill to have whenever. And I think everybody who uses a GreatSword needs to at least experience this skill at least once in the game. Words can describe just how powerful you feel whenever you are using this weapon, but I wouldn't recommend it over anything else because, well, that's the only thing going for this weapon, and I don't think it's worth it, except for that 2 or 3 seconds of pure release and relief. With that said, when it comes to my Phantom, I tend to go with Rufric the Resilient for every single build using the GreatSword because I'm going to be in front of the enemies, so having 15% more damage whenever I am attacking is awesome. With that said, let me know which build you are using the GreatSword, and also let me know if you feel like there are things I could do to take my GreatSword gameplay to the next level. Because I gotta be honest with you, this weapon makes the game a lot harder depending on how you are using it. I feel like, especially for the first half of the game, if you are using this weapon, you're going to struggle. Most of the things you have to do require you to spend some spirit. This weapon is not for the weak, and I absolutely respect you if you stick by its side till the end of the game. You deserve to be acknowledged. You are built different. With that said, I need to go off myself. I don't feel great, but I really wanted to make this video, so drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon when I feel better. Have a good one. Bye bye.